Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
Hey, this is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast, and today we have the author of I Call Him, also The Angel of Death, which is coming out in May of 2021. I'd like to introduce Scott Kimak. Scott, how you doing today?
Great. How about yourself?
Not too bad. So you're down there in Texas, enjoying the cold weather?
Nope.
Nope. Oh.
Depends on what you call cold.
Oh. What's it like about where you live?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 80 degrees today. So.
Oh man, that's how you're going to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to love it. Yeah. I'm way down south. I'm like right at the tip of the bottom of Texas, and I'm 30 miles from Mexico. So.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So you got some nice weather there for December. Yeah. Nice 80-degree weather. That's hot where I come from.
Yeah, when you guys get those like Arctic cold fronts, it might drop down to 40 here.
Oh no, that sounds horrible. How do you deal?
That lasts for like one day.
That's horrible. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, we've actually got snow on the ground. It'll be about 35-ish today, I think, or something like that. So we're all still wearing shorts and stuff. So it's not quite cold enough yet, but we're not like the Canucks up in Canada where they wear shorts up until about negative 12, and it's like, oh, now we have to bundle up. But in Wisconsin.
Yep. I remember those days. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm from Chicago, so I know it's not quite as cold as Wisconsin, but it was still pretty darn cold. So
it gets chilly in there. You get that lake effect,
yeah.
And you get dumped on. It snows and then it comes back and dumps on you again. So that's not cool. But let's see. Let's talk a little bit about your first book.
Okay.
All right. What can you tell us about that?
All right. Okay. Well, the book is it's a post-apocalyptic fiction. It's taking place after a nuclear war, and the story is about a man who happens to be a kung fu master. Okay, so I guess I kind of did it after myself.
Well, that's weird.
And and I'm not really giving a spoiler away here because you really learned this pretty much in the first chapter, but his family is murdered, and it basically, pretty much drives him insane, and so he's just, hell-bent on hunting everyone down, that killed his family, and just, really like turns to this darkness, where all he thinks about is revenge. It's just, he's just obsessed with it. And and this is going on through his travels as he's hunting these people down, and it's come to the point where he's really lost himself, where he is just that is all he can think about is his thirst for vengeance. And but then he's going to meet this young girl, and once he meets her, everything is kind of going to start to change a little bit. And so really, she kind of becomes almost, it's like he saves her, but it's almost like she's his savior, because can she bring him back? Has he gone too far that he cannot come back from this darkness he's slipped into? And he's desperately needed, because there's this final apocalyptic battle of good versus evil that's heading their way. And but if she can't save him, then he's not going to be able to bring this to an end. So it's so it's really it's action packed, all kinds of martial arts in it, of course, because of my martial art experience. There's a ton of sword fighting and martial arts in it, but there's also this very touching story about loss and grief, and this bond that develops between this character, which that's the thing too. I know the name is kind of strange. I call him, but that's because he doesn't speak, and so nobody really knows his name. And so they'll just refer to him, like, yeah, well, that's him over there, that dark brooding guy or whatever. And so that's why, the little girl refers to him as that also, yeah, so it's
So the
this
fact that he
really,
doesn't speak makes dialogue a little hard.
yeah, it is a little tricky in some spots, but there are some other companions that travel with him. So they do most of the speaking.
Okay.
Yeah. So and they're kind of his friends, his buddies that are really doing most of the communicating and telling the story. So.
Okay. So I assume that you can at least he's got his thoughts and everything that you can kind of
Oh yeah.
Some inflection or something like that. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cool. And so this is book 1, and book 2 is coming out May 21st, I think.
Yeah. May 6th. No, May 6th.
May 6th. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah. Book 2 is already completed. It's called The Angel of Death, and it picks up immediately, right after the end of book 1. And the young girl, Angelica is her name. She plays a much bigger role in that book, and then also some of the side characters, that became his companions and so forth, play a bigger role in it also, and really goes into their relationships and their life as they continue this struggle of good versus evil to come to this final apocalyptic battle. And the book is already finished. I just have it on pre-order for right now. I kind of threw the date out there a little bit long. I think I was just kind of hoping this whole COVID thing would be over by then before I release it. I don't know. So I'm kind of waiting a little bit, but it's actually already completed, and I'm actually working on the 3rd book it's a trilogy. So and I'm over halfway done with the 3rd book. So
cool.
But,
cool.
Yeah.
So when did you release your first book?
It was in July.
In July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been out for 5 months. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. It's about July. Sorry. The one thing that I've noticed with COVID, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, that as soon as it locks down, sales go pretty good.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I've had good sales during COVID.
Oh, have you? Oh.
Yeah, the only thing that has sucked was mine aren't really Christmassy books, so I get killed by Christmas books. But, so I kind of shut down advertising and everything else, and just kind of okay, whatever I sell, and then kick back up in January. But it's I was really surprised when March hit around, and all of a sudden it's like my advertising budget went way up, which I had to monitor and control that, but my sales went just great all through the summer, right up through probably Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden that's about where it usually kills me, so if I don't have something Christmassy out or something, whatever. But
yeah, well, I know it's possible I could move up that date also to release the 2nd book. I wasn't done yet when I kind of put that out there ready for pre-order, and so, but it's possible.
Well, I'm not telling you to do that. I just thought, I don't know. I'm just screwing around here. What are you doing? So you've got a lot of martial arts in there. Obviously, you have a martial arts background. You're it says right in your bio that you're a kung fu master.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing kung fu?
I've been doing kung fu for 40 years. Yeah.
40 years. Okay. So you might know a thing or two.
Maybe. I started when I was 13.
Wow.
And it was actually shortly after that I got the idea for this book, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
I've had this story in my head for almost 40 years. It's kind of a weird story. So when I was a kid, I just loved fantasy and sci-fi. I used to read Edgar Rice Burroughs. I gobbled up everything he wrote, and and so I decided to try my hand at writing, and I came up with this story. I knew pretty much even at that time, I had an idea it would be a trilogy. Kind of had the skeleton of it planned out. And so I started writing it, and I don't remember, because it's been so long. I don't know if I wrote the prologue or a little bit of the beginning of the first chapter. And so anyway, I really admired my shifu, my kung fu master.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked up to this guy and everything, not really knowing him that well, because later on I found out he's a real jerk, as a matter of fact. but at that time I thought he was like, he was like God or something, that could go wrong. So I bring the first few pages to him to show it to him. And I'm like, here, look what I wrote, and everything. And I hand it to him. He looks through it and he's like, yeah, whatever. Don't waste your time on this. Worry about doing your kung fu training. And it just,
wow, what an inspiration.
Yeah, and that was it. And you know what? I did not try writing again until just 2 years ago. So for 38 years, I kept this story in my head, and that just kind of crushed me, And then I'm a teacher, so I've got the summers off, and so this was So I think it's just 2 years ago during the summer. I had a lot of free time, and I'm trying to find something on TV to watch or whatever, nothing good. And so I get my laptop out, I'm messing around, and I say, you know what? I'm gonna try writing that story again that I wrote when I was a kid. And I started writing, and it just would not stop. I mean, I wrote all day long until my fingers were numb. I mean, and I brought it to my wife, who's my toughest critic. I mean, she'll tell you straight up, like it sucks, and she loved it, and I was like, well, dang, maybe I got something decent here, and so so after that, I just kept on writing, and I've just had this passion now. But yeah, it's kind of weird. It took me 38 years to start writing, actually get the story going, but who knows what would have happened if my kung fu teacher would have said it was good back then. But so, I've added a lot of things though, and changed some things to it, of course, over the years, so.
Well, I mean, being a history teacher and being a little bit older, you have a little different view on things. So, I mean, you can actually, with that life experience, go a little darker, go a little, and actually bring in, there's a lot of history that can help build that type of story. So, I mean, when you say, well, what could have happened, yeah, things happen for a reason, that's why you sat down and number one, good for you. Number two, yeah, screw your old teacher there.
Yeah.
Did you send him a signed copy with a little FU on it, or?
I should have, right?
Yeah. By the way, nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely. And the story, I'm sure, writing it as a 13, 14-year-old, it wouldn't be as dark as it is, because it is a pretty dark book, actually, or dark books. It's definitely an adult theme. I wouldn't recommend it for young kids to read it.
Yeah, you usually don't see post-apocalyptic stories with swords that have also rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah,
it usually doesn't work that way.
Exactly, and and it has like a little bit of a religious overtone to it, but I wanted to. I want to make it much darker, like sometimes when you see, and no offense to Christian novels, I've read a few of them, but I think sometimes, they make it too much rainbow and unicorns. I wanted to really show a darker version, which could have a little bit of Christianity in it, but make it oh gosh, what am I looking for? More like The Exorcist or something. You know what I mean? Where there's a lot of violence, where there's profanity, and so forth, and kind of, push it that way a little bit darker. So
one of the questions I have for you would be, when you put profanity into a book and you make an adult only book, but you're a history teacher, was that ever a concern of yours? Publishing the book and maybe getting called in front of the school board or something like that, and,
no, because
Scott, we've read your book and we have some questions for you.
Yeah, no, we're allowed to do what we do on our own time is our own thing. As long as we're not trying to sell it to our students or something like that. Yeah, we're allowed to do what we want. I actually have had several of my teachers I work with and so forth that have read it, and they've really loved it and enjoyed it,
Mhm.
and given me good reviews on it and so forth. So yeah,
Cool.
it hasn't really been a problem. Some of my students have asked me about reading it, and I've said no. I said no, no, no. You shouldn't be reading that.
What age do you teach?
Well, it's funny. I just changed this year. I was teaching eighth grade for several years,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I thought those kids were way too young for it. This year, I actually changed, and now I'm teaching seniors. So I teach this year.
Yeah.
My first year teaching economics and government to seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they are 17, 18 years old. So it would probably be okay for them, but I still don't. I don't push it on them again because I don't want any trouble with the school district.
See, and I think that's funny. And the only reason I think that's funny is because when I went to school, Stephen King was huge.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
love.
and I'm thinking eighth grade and eighth grade and thinner. I'm pretty sure that's where I read that was about eighth
Yeah,
grade.
yeah.
And then step back into Carrie, and it was around that time, and it was like, we were reading all sorts of stuff that nowadays would be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you're raising psychopaths or something like that. But
Yeah, we didn't turn out psychopaths.
yeah, no, we're fine, really, seriously.
No, no, I would have some of my eighth grade kids tell me that they're watching Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, but again, I have to be careful, because they tell me, sir, I can read it. My eighth graders would tell me, I can read it, it's no problem. I've seen worse, and I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want to, have to deal with that.
It's called plausible deniability when that parent says, oh my God. It's like,
Yeah,
I told him not to.
right.
That's your Amazon account. What are you not doing? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's funny. So how is teaching in Texas? Is it like normal school, or I mean,
Well, you mean with the whole COVID thing
yeah,
right now?
I mean,
Yeah. Uh, well,
maybe I should ask a refined question, huh? That'd be real nice. So how's COVID affecting your teaching? How's that?
well, we started 3 weeks late than normal. So we started. Normally we start like in middle of August, so we started in like I think it was the first week of September. So, and then we started. I think it was the first month we only had online, and then they allowed the kids the choice, to start coming face to face. But very few of them are. The school I'm at is like it's like a specialty school. It's basically like a med high where you have your regular core classes, but it's mainly geared towards kids that want to get into the medical field.
Okay.
So so it's a rather small high school, and we only have like 450 kids total, and it starts at eighth grade. So it's eighth grade through senior year. So it's five grades, and there's only 450 kids. So the classes are pretty small. But we have only had, I think, what did we have last week? Like 32 kids that come face to face out of 450. And imagine that spread out over several classes and
Right.
and so forth. So I'm teaching 6 classes. I have 2 of those 6 where I have nobody face to face, and then out of the other 4 classes, I think my largest class is 6 kids face to face. So yeah, it's been really really small, but the kids are they're not getting the same as teaching as the way we used to teach face to face. I mean, it's just yeah, they're way behind. I mean, you can tell, and I'm sure that's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
They're just not getting the same kind of teaching that they should be. But it's what we got to deal with right now. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I think I've only talked to one teacher that said that they thought that things were going really well with the online classes.
Yeah.
I think everybody else has said, this isn't, this is, and so I mean, I've questioned quite a bit on it as far as, I mean, do you miss it? The kids missing that interaction, all that kind of stuff. And I think the general consensus is that, this is okay for right now, but this can't be something that's going to be long lasting because it's not conducive to the educational experience that they're used to.
Yeah.
And I had one guy that told me, or one teacher that told me, it wasn't a guy, but one teacher that told me that, when you have that face-to-face, you can drag the whole class along, so you get your high performers, your low performers, and then your mid-level, and everybody that falls in between, and you can usually face-to-face drag them along. And what they found was that, your high performers are still performing high. And that everybody else, it's harder to actually, get them to keep up with things and get them to, actually learn when it's not face to face and it's over line, because you can't control what they're paying attention to. They can't, you don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Which was, and I get that. I mean, when I'm on webinars, it's like, oh, really? I think I'll do this for now. Yeah, I'm taking notes, and playing tic-tac-toe with my other personality or something.
They could be on their cell phone playing a video game or have another screen open doing something else, and it's just so hard to tell. And even to excuse me, even to assess them, and when it comes to testing and so forth, it's so easy for them to cheat now. Because their friend can be sending them the answers on their phone, and so forth, while they're, because we're watching them as they're taking the test, of course, but you can't really see their hands,
right?
So you don't know what's going on, and so it's really hard.
I doubt that anybody's cheating. I mean, come on.
What's that?
I doubt that anybody's cheating. Come on.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. That doesn't happen in school.
I don't know about that. But and it's just hard to get the feeling when they're in the classroom. You can kind of get the feeling and change your approach sometimes from the kids when you're seeing how they're reacting to things. Where when they're online like that, it's just so hard to tell like what they're actually getting out of it. So it's been difficult. I teach some AP classes, which count towards college credit, and it's going to be when they take care, that's really showing me what they really how they learned, and I'm worried. I can't see a lot of them doing as well. It's probably like you said, only the really high performers are going to do well, but the other ones, I'm really worried that they're not going to do well at all. But I guess we'll see what happens. All we can do is do our best.
Yeah. I don't think in high school, especially high school, I don't think kids really get that it's up to them to get out of it it's that you're trying to teach them a responsibility, and some of them get it and some of them don't. I think a lot of times getting through high school and then getting into college, and then that first semester in college, some kids just get that, that kick in the crotch. Is like, oh crap, this is for real. It's all on me, because the professor does not care. It's not high school anymore. That high school teacher's not there to kind of, here you go, spoon feed it to you and everything else. It's like, yeah, here's your book. Read the first 150 pages by tomorrow. And if you don't like it, that's really tough. We're going to talk about it anyway, and then you fall behind and everything else. But I mean,
and there's no retesting and or turning work in late, and stuff like that. I mean, we have all that, like, oh, we have to allow them that. If they turn work in late, well, it's 10% off the first day, 10% off the second day. College, you don't turn it in, it's a zero. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I gotta imagine nowadays. I mean, that's kind of the way it was when I went to school. Is they would grade it, but I think you automatically, if you turned in late, it was automatically a C. That's the highest grade you could get, I think, or something like that. I mean, it was just, but that was decades ago. Nowadays, I used to help coach high school wrestling. I'd listen to the teachers talking about how no matter what, even if they don't turn anything in, because of just the way the state kind of mandated their, no kid left behind and all that kind of stuff.
Right, right.
Um, there were no F's. Everything was a D. It's like, okay, so they do pass high school. They may not have done a dang thing, but they do pass. They will get a high school degree of a 1.0 or whatever it is. Which is I just like, I didn't quite get it, but there's only a few things they had to do to pass, and it's like, it just kind of ugly. But
yeah, it's kind of crazy because we're supposed to be preparing them for college, but sometimes I don't think we are. I mean, it's just I mean, in some ways, it's there. I think it's going to be a shock to a lot of them when they get to college. It's going to be like, oh man, this is real now.
my oldest daughter and my next oldest, I mean, my two older daughters, I think were well prepared for college. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed watching them, that first year not screw up like I did, basically. That first year I went to college, it was like, yeah, it was a great party. It was a really expensive party, but then I had to kind of take a mulligan and redo it, which also was very expensive, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of their friends struggle because they didn't really take things all that seriously.
Yeah. I think it just depends on the person. Yeah. I mean, my kids have all done really well too, in school. So, and yeah, especially my daughter too. My daughter's my youngest. She's gonna be 20. Yeah. And she's just doing fabulous, So, I mean, for her, it's been different, but I don't know. Others are definitely going to struggle, I guess. So I guess it just depends on the kid.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the AP classes. We didn't have that when I was growing up. At all. You basically got your high school education and then you went to college. There's no advanced credit, any kind of classes like that. I thought that was really cool. My first daughter started, I think, started out college with 12 credits already or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Where was this when I was growing up? Yeah, non-existent, but in other words, I've also seen kids that pulled C's and D's all through school, and they're always on the edge of not being eligible to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to college, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what? I've got a 3.56. It's like, you do? They come back and be like, you do? Cool. That's great. So, I mean, it all kind of depends.
Yeah, I guess everyone matures at a different time. So,
yeah, something like that. So, we were, kind of talking before the show. You had, you just closed down your school, your Kung Fu school.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I studied it ever since I was a kid. I actually started like assistant teaching when I was 16. So yeah, so it's been, oh my gosh, 37 years that I was teaching. And, at first in Chicago, I've been down here in Southern Texas though for 26 years. That's when I moved here. And then I opened up, because up there I didn't have my own place, but I would help some other guys, teach there. So I was basically assistant teaching up there. But then anyway, I moved down here and opened up my own gym, and I had the business, and it did really well, for a long time. There was actually a while where I had gone full time for it, where I was trying to do it full time. Never could make a great living at it though, and so that's why I decided to go back to teaching, to teaching history rather than martial arts. But I still had it open at night. So, I had some pretty long days though. I'd teach during the day and then come home and teach martial arts at night.
Yeah.
But it's just because I love it. I just have a passion for the martial arts, and I really enjoy it.
You have to have a passion for that, because otherwise it's it's a it's almost a bare knuckle fight trying to keep a gym open at times. I mean, that's a rough business. It really is.
Oh yeah. It definitely is, and it has its ups and downs. During the holidays and so forth, Christmas time and stuff, I would get super slow. Because people would say, "Oh, well, I need money for presents, or we're going on vacation," and and they drop out. I'd be like, I need money for my kids' presents too. So it was definitely a rough business. And it did pretty well for a long time. I would say, actually, though, what kind of hurt my particular style was the emergence of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. As UFC became more popular, a lot of Jiu-Jitsu schools started opening, and that seemed to be because so many people saw UFC on TV. I think a lot of people started going towards that rather than traditional martial arts sometimes. So I saw my business go down a little bit, but I didn't mind that much because, again, I had my teaching job, and so I looked at it more as something I just enjoy to keep myself in shape and have fun. So going into March, I had like 20 students or so, and then they shut down for COVID. And down here in Texas, they shut us down for I think it was almost 2 months, and then Governor Abbott said, I think it was middle of May, he says, okay, well, you guys can open back up. And okay, so I'm all excited, and I go open up the gym, call back all my students. I'm like, hey guys, we're back open, come on in. Oh, I think we're gonna wait a little bit, and maybe we'll come back after the summer, and I don't know, just so nobody came back, and nobody new came in. I mean, the phone just did not ring, and no matter what I did, how I tried to advertise, but I still had to keep paying the bills. I still had to pay the rent and pay the utilities, and so we got our little bit of money from the government. Of course, my wife and I each got the $1,200.
Yeah.
So that helped a little bit, over those couple months we were shut down, but then that was gone pretty quick, and here, nothing was happening. I kept holding on because I just love the martial arts so much. I went there every day, practiced myself, but just nobody came back, and so finally, that went on for, like I said, like 8 months or so. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I said, that's it. I just can't afford this anymore. I can't stay open. And, I was losing money, I'm just throwing money away, I mean, thank God I had my teaching job. Otherwise, I would have really been in trouble. And, I finally just said, that's it. I'm closing down, So, I don't know if I'll reopen. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm 53 years old, so I'm not that young anymore. So I don't know if I want to, if even when things are all over, if I want to take that step and try reopening again. I'm not really sure if I'll do that or not. I mean, the one good thing, it frees up a lot of time for writing.
Yeah.
That I didn't have before, and that's kind of my new thing, now. So I'm enjoying that. I mean,
I don't think that there is one gym, whether it be just a regular exercise gym or a martial arts studio, or any kind of gym like that hasn't been horribly affected by COVID. I mean, they're all at best limited capacity.
And some of the states a lot worse than us. I mean, Texas I think was pretty good, but I mean, California, New York and stuff, I mean, I just watched the news and I'm like, God, they're not letting them open up anything over there. It's crazy. I don't know how they expect them to survive.
In California, if they suspect you're open, they just shut the lights off on you.
Yeah, it's
is what I heard. And it's like, really? They can not even going to invest. Oh yeah, looks like the lights are on in there. Go ahead and cut them. And they cut your power or water or whatever. And it's like, it's a little
drastic. Yeah.
But
crazy. So I don't know. I'll just be glad when we can get back to normal. At least
it's never gonna happen, dude.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I think we have new normals coming. I don't think it's gonna be normal, but I don't know. Who knows? I honestly, there's a couple things. Number one, you said that your gym kind of deflated during the emergence of MMA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which, I think that one of the things that really hurt a lot of traditional martial arts gyms is, the emergence of MMA, the emergence of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, um, which, I mean, I've done it. I mean, it's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean,
you
I
know, I,
studied, I studied it also. It's,
I love all things grappling. So I'm in, I love judo. I love
oh yeah, well,
wrestling, catch
you
wrestling.
coached wrestling, so yeah,
Yeah.
that goes hand in hand.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu, regular Japanese jiu-jitsu is kind of fun, I mean, just screwing around with that. But the
Mhm.
one thing that always kind of bothered me a little bit was all of the videos out there of what you could basically call fake people. Like, I'm the master of this, da, 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 and they go out and they get their lights punched out in 32 seconds. And it's like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think you took the application of whatever you're trying to do there, and uh, maybe didn't quite apply it right or something, and you just made an ass out of everybody, and then everybody got kind of lumped into, well, this is all fake martial arts,
Mhm.
which I think that's a little judgy.
Yeah, yeah,
I really
yeah. I think sometimes people how do I judge the style rather than the teacher, because um, sometimes oh, this style is no good because I saw this guy and he was horrible. Well, that's just one guy. It doesn't mean that the style itself is bad. It's just that sometimes the teacher is the wrong teacher. So
To be honest, I mean, a lot of those people that just get their butts kicked in those videos, I really question whether they're really the person that should have been doing that fight in the first place,
yeah,
because it just looks like they'd never even been in a street fight before. I
yeah.
mean, it just, you know, you can't hold your arms out like this with somebody who's doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
You know,
Hang tight.
it's just not going to work. Sorry, you might want to cover up a little bit. I just, you know, and I don't know. I just always thought that was funny. And then you have all these critics on there that are like, "Oh, this is just fake stuff. Look at it; it never held up." And it's like, ah, okay, I think Aikido's probably gotten the biggest rap.
Oh yeah.
That. I think everybody thinks Aikido is just nothing but just fake crap that everybody wasted money on, and it has its place, and it also has its own techniques and everything, but you have to understand the history behind it to actually understand that. Same thing with judo. I mean, judo's a rough sport.
Mhm.
There is no doubt about it, but you can't say that Brazilian jiu-jitsu is better than judo, because you know Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically the ground game of judo,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
just modified ever so slightly over time.
Mhm.
Anybody who wants to fight me on that, go ahead. you know Whatever. But yeah, I just don't buy into that. I came from a specific Japanese. When I was a kid, that's what I did, was it's kind of a Japanese based karate or whatever. And
Mhm.
I still love it to this day. I've got friends that still practice that particular discipline. But on the other hand, if anybody says, well, it's all fake, it's not real, it's like, I think it depends on really who you get slapped by, you know,
Yeah,
or who
yeah.
you face.
Yeah, I think all martial arts, yeah, that's why I hate when they hear these little things where they try to put, oh, this martial art against that martial art and stuff. I respect all the martial arts. I think they're, all great and all have, things that can be taken from them.
Oh, I
And
wouldn't go that far.
really,
No, I wouldn't.
which ones?
A lot of these American McDojos, where it's the franchise and they really don't
Oh,
teach,
yeah.
that, that's
Well,
where I kind of have the problem, where they have, 42 kids in a class, and they're, you know,
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, but I'm not saying, yeah, the way that it's set up. That's what I mean, I've seen some very weak schools and weak teachers, but I don't think it means that the style was necessarily weak. It's just the way that they went about doing it and doing their business, where they're handing out their black belts, to a kid that can't even close his fist yet, or
Yep.
and that it's just all a big money game, where they're testing every single month, just so they can get the testing fee, and things like that. Yeah, I find all that a joke, but how the style of it was originally, was meant to be well. It's just that they watered it down, or just did it to make money and so forth. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. And yeah, I really get upset when I see that.
I think what was really funny and kind of prevalent, probably through the 90s, and that kind of quit again when MMA kind of took over, were the people that created their own. So they take this and that, and thinking they're Bruce Lee.
Oh,
and, all of a sudden, this is the most dangerous martial art ever. They have their infomercial, and they have this, that, and the other thing, and they get a bunch of people in there, and it's like, oh my god, and those are the people that had the egos that were coming into the videos and getting their just smashed.
Right.
I am the ultimate lethal weapon. No, you're not. Sorry, that dude just smashed you. A double leg takedown just almost killed you. So don't do that again, please. Type thing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those garbage schools through the years. So
yeah, and then they, my favorite ones are God, I can't remember the name, but I the guy who those guys that do the chi.
Oh yeah,
and they're standing 10 foot away. I'm gonna, and they go and they knock somebody out.
And the guy falls over. Yeah.
I love those. I love those. They're great and very entertaining as long as you have a beer in hand or something.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe anyone would believe in that stuff. So yeah, that's crazy.
People do, because they buy all that. I mean, they used to see people walking into gyms and stuff with those books, and I'm learning this, and it's like, oh, okay, let's go down to the bar and see how that works for you. That big biker at the end, go ahead and chi knock him out.
Yeah.
Don't talk to him, just go get him, go, I'll watch. That's entertaining. But I used to enjoy, there was a Taekwondo school when I went to college, and we go down to the bars, and they would put beer bottles on top of their head and kick them off. Somebody hold one up, and then somebody else would come up and kick them off. And what's really funny is getting them all tuned up, and then they'd miss, and they'd be kicking their buddy in the side of the head or something like that. And they'd be like, oh, you almost got it, do it again, and you just egg them on, and be like, they'd be beating the shit out of beating the crap out of each other for no reason other than, and we were all just kind of sitting there, oh man, you almost got it, here, try this one, this is a Coors Light.
One more time.
And they always thought it was fun, but we buying beers just to watch him kick the other guy in the face after a bit. But
hey, they were the pioneers of that. What was that contest recently that was going all viral, where they would kick the tops off the bottles?
Oh yeah, that God, was that on TikTok? I've seen a couple. I've had a couple of people send those to me. It's like, oh, that's slick.
How many takes did that take?
Yeah. I love breaking boards. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite things to listen to somebody. I broke like 6 boards, and they cut them so they're so they're the grain's going just right, and then even some of them have a little slit down the back of them, so they just they're just basically
spacers in between.
Yeah. It's like, hang it from a rope and then break it. Let's see how that works. And I want it to be, like a 3/4 inch board. Yeah. Right through it. Yeah. Hulk slam it. There you go. Good job. But I don't know. Nothing replaces a baseball bat. Anyway. I don't know. So what else you got going on down there? We've talked about martial arts and the decimation of all sorts of gyms with COVID. We talked about teaching. We talked about your books.
Just enjoying spending time with my family. My kids are are all pretty much grown right now. My oldest is 32, and then I've got 26, 24, and then my daughter's 20. But she's home now. She was actually away at college in San Antonio, but with COVID, they put all the classes online. So rather than paying her rent up there, I said, no, get your butt back here. You're going to be online. I'm not going to be paying your rent.
Yep.
So yeah, so she's back home, and you know, which is a little different now, you know, because we had a little freedom there for a little while, for about a year, my wife and I. But now she's back home. So, but you know, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying spending time with her.
Yeah.
And I've got a granddaughter. That's something fairly new. So she lives up in San Antonio with my son, and we just came back. Actually, just went up there this weekend to see her. But yeah, you know, so it's kind of nice. You know, one thing, like I said about not having my martial arts school anymore, though, it does give me a lot more time to do things, because you know, for the last 5 years, I pretty much worked from, you know, early morning until 9:30 at night, you know, because, you know, I would teach school during the day, and then I would teach martial arts at night. And then even when I started writing, you know, it was hard to find time to write. You know, I would try sneaking it in, you know, during lunch and you know, on the weekends and stuff. And so yeah, I do have a lot more time now to spend with my family, which is really nice, and then also to write my books, which is fun. You know, I'm really excited about that. So I guess it's kind of replaced my passion in a way. My passion went from teaching martial arts to becoming a writer. So that's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy that.
Well, you have these 2 books out, and you have a third one that you're working on. I guess, you know, you have this series. What's coming up after that? Do you have more ideas, or?
Yeah, I have several ideas. I want to do a prequel to go back and kind of take the character of him and you know, go back into how his life was before the apocalypse, and how the apocalypse happens and everything, because I only give, you know, very few details on that, you know, in the book. So really, like, go into that, how it all happens. So that's one book I want to do. I want to do some of the other characters, the side characters that are in the book. I'd like to do some stories on them, which I think would be really good. And one of them in particular, which is a young Hispanic girl who I kind of my wife is Hispanic, so I kind of always pictured her as my you know, how I picture my wife. My wife's, you know, as I said, real no nonsense, tough girl, and so I kind of want to start doing a series with her. I could see, you know, which is you know, basically like I said, after the end of this trilogy too, and you know, I could see that going pretty far. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Those are some of the ideas I have. I also like a lot of you know, crime type you know, stories. I used to, you know, love reading those and so forth, and so I've thought about doing some stories about the mafia and things like that. Some stories actually my grandfather used to tell me when I was young, you know, about some experiences that he had and some things that he saw in Chicago and so forth. And yeah, you know, so I thought about doing some things on that. So yeah, I have a lot of different ideas in my head, you know, turning around. Just gotta get them out and get them onto paper, you know.
I kind of laugh at the you know, yeah, I have several stories from Chicago. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. You know, it's kind of weird. Things just come in my head sometimes. You know, I'll be sometimes I'm sleeping and I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I gotta remember that, and I'll, you know, like I get, you know, I don't know if I'm dreaming it or what it is, and I'll run over and have to, you know, start typing things down because you know, something will just come to me, you know. So yeah, it's been a really a neat experience. And I wish I wouldn't have waited so many years, but I guess like you say, hey, maybe it was meant to be, but yeah, sometimes when I write, it just, it really takes over. I feel like, that I almost become the characters,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel their emotions and so forth. And I just kind of like almost just phase everything out and just fall into that fantasy world, whatever it is, into that fictional world. And I'll just find myself, on a writing spree where I just can't stop for a while, um,
Mm-hmm.
So I know that, some people have writing blocks and things like that. And I've never really had anything like that yet. It's just,
Oh, you will.
I will. Okay. I just haven't experienced it yet, but, yeah, it's weird. I'll just, I'll sit down and then all of a sudden it just, it starts coming to me, and I just kind of like, I have to have absolute silence. I go lock myself in the bedroom or whatever. And, um, I just kind of zone everything out and I just, my wife might come in and I'll be like, no, leave me alone. I'm in the zone, So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. And so I guess I'm really glad that it came to me to start writing these books, because it's been kind of a life-changing thing. So
I think it's interesting that you need absolute silence. I need music.
yeah, and a lot of people tell me that they have to have music, but no, for me, yeah, I've got to have everything quiet. The only noise I need is the fan. I got to have the fan blowing, and I think because it just drowns out any noise from the other rooms. I hear the dogs barking or the TV on or whatever. So I put the fan on real loud, but otherwise that's it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it to music. I think music would distract me. I'd probably start singing the songs or something. I'd start typing the songs down.
So when you get so involved with your characters, you ever feel a little crazy? I mean, they start talking to
Oh
you
yeah,
and it's like, oh,
yeah.
maybe this isn't sane.
Definitely. And as I write as I've written this character HIM, because he is so dark, and it's kind of threading this line between never coming back from, flipping to that darkness. Yeah, sometimes it can get a little scary, where
You ever wonder where that darkness comes from?
I've thought about this, and I think everybody has a certain amount of darkness in them. If push comes to shove, if I think the nicest person in the world, if someone is going to try to hurt their family, that they can turn into a lion. I think if it really comes down to it, they are going to protect their family and do whatever it takes, regardless of what they say. I don't know. That's just my own belief, and so I think, as I start to write that, the story and about how his family is murdered, that, I guess I imagined if something happened to my family, what would I do, and how would it affect me? And I guess, yeah. And so I think, at least I think I have a little bit of that darkness in me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I think everybody might, I mean, let's face it. I don't think anyone's just going to step by and say, go ahead, kill my kid. I'm not gonna intervene. Just go ahead. It's not right for me to try to stop you.
I think it depends on how much fear they actually have. If they, I mean, if they freeze, I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends on what the person's been exposed to, because I've seen an awful lot of people just in normal life situations, just freeze,
Yeah.
and kind of watch things as they happen versus, actually reacting or having any kind of an action at all. So, I mean, I think it depends.
Yeah.
But most people I think will, but like I said, I've seen people just, just all of a sudden getting an altercation and there's, like they've never seen that before. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine. But
yeah, and maybe that happens with themselves. I don't know. I don't know. Just being a parent, I just know, for my kids, I mean, I would just lay my life down. I mean, that's just, and I don't know. I think I don't know. Maybe I just feel most parents would be that way, you know, if they had to.
I think so, but like I said,
I would hope so. Actually, I mean, at least I guess you know that they would try to protect their kids. You know, that they just wouldn't let it happen. But I don't know. It's crazy. People are crazy, so we never.
people are crazy. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
We've seen a lot of that over this last year. So
I think the biggest thing where you can see crazy is social media.
Oh yeah.
think it's absolutely blown up to where there's all sorts of people that wanted to try and be relevant in the workplace. When you took that away, they went to Facebook, and all of a sudden they're medical experts or constitutional lawyers and just about anything. I was reading. Oh, good. Where'd you read that at?
Yeah, or I saw this on this news station. It's like, oh, okay.
Okay, that's gonna be awesome. Good. Glad you're all over it. Thanks. And then hopefully you move on to a different group or something like that. But yeah.
It's definitely been a I guess annoying year, I could say, when you see how some of these people respond to it and so forth.
Yeah. Conspiracies and everything else. It's been an interesting year. I really hope 2021 turns out better, but so far I think it all depends on how 2020 ends.
Yeah.
2021 it continues, but who knows. Anyway, with that, I think I'm going to call the show to an end. We've talked about all your books and everything else. You've got some ideas coming out, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me, especially since you're off from school and this is your own personal time. Probably took a little time away from your writing, which shouldn't be doing
No,
that.
that's okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. It's been great, and I really enjoyed it.
It's been a lot of fun. Anytime you want to come back on, let me know.
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to say thanks a lot for listening. This is Jeff Bacon of the DIY Writer Podcast, bidding you a good day and keep your chin up. Bye-bye.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.